Welcome to a new year, a new show, the first main show of the season. There's a new lease of life around Oakwell, seeing as we've now got rid of that burden from 2024, where we struggled at home. We're now flying at home, picking up points left, right, and centre. We've already started the transfer window with the signing of Neil Farrugia, left wing back from Shamrock Rovers. So, we're going to speak about Northampton game coming up this weekend, the new signing, any other areas which I think we've talked about already is pretty self-explanatory in areas in which we do need to improve in. But one thing before we do get stuck into that is, so us, Tax TV and A Up and Down, and this is A Up and Down's idea, it's just we're putting it out there as well, want to bring fans together to create and make a big flag to go in the Ponty end. At the minute, we just need to raise some money towards that. So there will be a Just Giving link in the description to this show. I think the goal is to get £1,000. We're at 500 already, and sort of only started the idea yesterday of sort of trying to get these donations in. So anything you can, if you want to get involved in that, the link will be in the description down below. So let's get stuck into it. So, Andy, Neil Farrugia signed some early business done by us, which is very nice to see for a change. Left wing back by sort of description, but from what Shamrock Rovers fans have said, can sort of play a little bit of anywhere. He can play on the attacking left-hand side if needed. I think some people say he can play as a 10, he can play on the right. A very versatile player. Looking at what he's done so far this season, 22 games in 2024 with Shamrock Rovers in the League of Ireland. 4 games in Europa League, 4 games in the Champions League as well in the 24-25 season. So he's got someone coming with European experience, sort of a little bit higher than us. But I'd say the one question mark is, where does the sort of League of Ireland marry up against League One in terms of their standards and things? You can look at Barry Cotter as an example of where it does lie, but seems like a good signing.
I've heard some of their fans say that they think he's better than Barry Cotter, and it's sad to see him go. If he's better than Barry Cotter, if he can control the ball better than Barry Cotter, it'll be a benefit to us. Even though Bazza is really mercurial down left or right, I think it means Bazza can go back to the right hand side and vie for that position with Corey O'Keefe, and leave Neil Farrugia to go. Perugia, it's a football team. Farrugia to fedge it out with Georgie Gent. It's going to be interesting to see how he pans out. It's really hard to see how people can say, oh, it's same as League One, oh, it's same as League Two, oh, it's the same as the Championship. We don't know. It's the same sort of argument we have about teams in Scotland, what level it is, and we just stab at it, and we don't know. The only thing that matters is, what's he going to be like in a red shirt for us? And I suspect that we might well see that very shortly. So all the best to him. I'm really glad he signed. Free transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Born in Paris, so Parisien. So let's give him a warm welcome. Even Al, who's asleep. Oh no, he's not. Thought he'd gone to sleep for a minute.
No, just woke him up then.
He's trying not to interrupt me. That's what it is. He's stopping, so don't interrupt me. Right, yeah, nice one, Al.
This is New Year.
Love you, Al.
Al, coming to you. Free transfer, 25-year-old. European experience on paper, one of those signings that looks great, but I'm pretty sure last player we signed, European experience, Marcel Ritzmaier, wasn't necessarily the greatest signing we've ever come across or ever made, but as Andy said already, he seems to come with solid reviews from Shamrock Rovers fans.
It is. I've seen on social media they've raved about him, and what I've seen, he can score some goals, and his crossings, well, I think it's good what I've seen of his crossing and getting balls into box. He's Barry Cotter's mate as well, isn't he? Going form, so they are Bazza and Farrugia. Not Nigel Farrugia. We don't want Nigel Farrugia. We just
Farrugia, Al.
Farrugia then.
He's way too European to be a Farrugia.
And as we've said, he's versatile, isn't he? Several positions he can play in. So let's see what he's done this week. I don't think they'll have done much on training pitch this week to get him probably in squad for Saturday. But yeah, let's see who else comes in. We've got one in early. That's the main thing. We've done business early.
Craig, it is nice to see sort of has been very proactive in the transfer window. I can't remember what day he did sign. It might have been the third or fourth when he did sign, but it is nice to see sort of almost as soon as his contract's finished, it was like, right, okay, there's someone there. Obviously, it's a little bit weird of how sort of the Irish League sort of lines up, but he should come in with a good bank of fitness already behind him, so it's not going to take him too long to pick back up where he needs to be. Sort of when we signed Donovan Pines, and it took him a month or two to get ready, and then he got into the team and then broke down because of, like, the intensity. You'd hope with Farrugia that it'll be a little bit more robust and he won't need that bedding in time as such.
Well, he's only just been he only played Chelsea not so long back, and yeah, like I say, it's only over pond. It's only a little trip over to UK. I think it's key what you said though is versatility in the guy. I think it covers a lot of areas that we might need, especially in the forward areas. We tend to lack options. His ability to play midfield, play as a wing back, as left wing back, particularly, is an important uh, part for us. Also, I think the fact that he's Irish and there's a fair few Irish players in the team will help him bed in a lot quicker. Um, During his interview, he said something like, well, along the lines of he had a chance to come over and play in England when he was a bit younger, but he decided to stay in school at the time in his education. So obviously, is he was good enough to come over back then. So I can't see his ability really going down much. And yeah, the Shamrock Rovers fans raved about him, seem to think he's a really good player. Looking at his stats and numbers, goal contributions every 3 matches, tends to be around where he is. European experience, so he's not going to be too flustered by a promotion battle, playoff battle, big matches, big stadiums. If we end up going to Wembley or anything like that, I don't think it'll be a problem for him. So yeah, but it's that age-old question: how does football from the club is coming from, where they have the monopoly over the league? Most seasons they win. It's easy to look good in a team that's winning constantly to a team that's to a league that's a lot more
4 on
competitive.
trot, Craig. Team that's winning all the time, 4 on trot.
But it's a lot more competitive. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot more teams. There's a lot more information. It's a completely different system. So we'll see how it gets on. But by all, I'm happy with him. I think he's gonna come and help the team loads. But also, I would stress that I also expect others to come too. If he's the only signing, I don't think I'd be happy with it. I think we still need, in the areas I've said, up top, we need somebody else in because Marsh and Jello's too injury prone at the minute, and I think you need to have a good amount of depth to be really good in this league. And at the minute, I think we're light in a couple of areas.
Interesting. If you give me a lovely segue there, Craig, into next ring, so I could have sort of the other business you would like to see done over this January. Andy, is there any other areas as such that you want to improve? I know the one thing that I think we all said, well, left wing back just to get that depth, because it were a lot to ask Georgie Gent to sort of play that many games, especially coming from relatively youth games and sort of coming as when you look back to that Mansfield game where he got doubled up on and looked terribly in that game, which wasn't necessarily his fault as such. And then sort of that he got dropped, and O'Keefe came in and he was a bit out of the picture for a while. That was sort of the first thing that needs fixing. But then, where else would you like to see a strengthen throughout this window?
I said a few weeks ago that it'd be also helpful to have a really experienced goalkeeper, and I still think that. Oh, because I thought, Ben Killip has played well in the last couple of matches and made some very important saves to keep us in front. So well done to him. But he needs pushing, and we've sent back, or they've recalled Gabriel Slonina back to Chelsea. So unless Flavel's going to step up a bit, because there's some talk about whether or not Smith ought to be going out on loan to get some match day experience again, if you like. I certainly think that it would help to have an experienced, not another young, inexperienced goalkeeper, an experienced goalkeeper. But for me, the most important by a country mile as a striker. we've got players that can play there, but it only takes a couple of injuries or a suspension and injury, and we'd be in a mess up front. At the minute we've got Max Waters has come back and is playing pretty well. He limped off a couple of games ago. I'm a bit worried about that, but he's back again, so he's all right. So he's coming back. DKD is doing really well. Instead of being stuck out on the left wing, he's playing and going where he can hurt teams the most for that. So good for that. We've got Steve Humphries, who's again just coming back from injuries, and he's a good player. But I like him out wide as well. He's got a good touch. And Sam Cosgrove, it's just not working at this minute with Sam Cosgrove. I don't know if he's not getting any minutes or very, very few minutes. So whether the manager doesn't rate him or what, or he's not showing it, who knows? But it only takes one more injury and we really light up front. And if we want to go for promotion, all I'd say, look at Wrexham's bench the other day. They've got some players that they could bring on in forward positions that can make a big difference, and they rotate them. We haven't quite got that luxury at this moment. We need somebody that can put it in the net from 5 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards, 10 yards. We've got a few that can do that, but on a consistent basis, somebody that's in there and can get on the end of Max Waters' crosses, other people's crosses, or bring it along the floor. Somebody in that last bit to stick it in. Gary Lineker, don't
need a fox in the box.
That, in a nutshell, that somebody who can get the toe poke it in, let it glance off the red and in, out like that 6 yard box that we haven't got apart from Donny Pines.
I'm glad you brought up Wrexham because I would like to just clarify that the 12 good players you have, I've changed my mind. You've got about 3. You're about 3 good players, not 12.
I just sincerely hope that they've stopped watching this now. Now we're not.
No, it's just I just thought it well out of pocket that they took everything out of context and put it on Twitter. So I enjoyed myself.
How's your Twitter over the past couple of weeks been? I bet you've been enjoying it, haven't you, really?
Oh, it was terrific when I found out someone who in their Twitter bio that said being a Wrexham fan since season 2, or trying to give me some. I was like, right, see, fans in season 2, and you're trying to tell me how the EFL works and how the Football League works. Interesting.
There's a lot of long-standing Wrexham fans as well. It's not just everybody.
There is, but those weren't the ones.
And Alabama.
Those weren't the ones who were giving me the
Oh, I know.
Season 2 Alabama Texan fan were giving me it, and I was like, hang on a minute, that's wrong.
Can't lump them all in it. There's a lot of genuine Wrexham fans,
and I'm glad for them. But American ones, no, you can have it. Al, where do you think we still need to strengthen? Are you sort of the same as Andy, keeper and striker?
Well, put it this way, Killick's performed.
You can talk now, Alan. I'll not interrupt you.
Thank you very much. Hold on. Killick's played well, hasn't it, last few games? I mean, to be honest, he kept us in game. On Saturday, incredible saves against Crawley, double saves at that. When you look at it, he stopped at least 5 or 6 going in. We won easy 3-0, but we aren't Killick. It'd be a different story. So
just doing his job, Al. He gets paid to do it, Al.
But it needs to push him. We need a striker, whether it's somebody we buy in January window or we get somebody on loan, an experienced striker, somebody to put ball it back at net. And Keeler Dunn's found his mojo as well, hasn't he, at the moment? So more to come. We're seeing the best of what we got when we bought him from Mansfield start of the season. He's now finding his feet, and the goals he's scoring, outstanding. Quality finisher.
It certainly is. Craig, you've sort of mentioned already sort of the areas in which we're strengthened, but the one thing that I do want to sort of pull out is I understand the goalkeeper situation in terms of that, but do you think Ben Killick's done enough sort of over these games to stake? I know he's done enough to obviously stake a claim for number 1, but do you reckon he almost deserves to see the season out in the way in which he has performed since he's come in?
What I would say is it wouldn't be the top of my priority list to do just yet. Mm-hmm. I think he's had some outstanding performances, and I think he's won us some points. I mean, the games which we've looked like we've walked, he's made 2 or 3 really good saves in all games. Look, if we ended up this window and we didn't sign a goalkeeper, I wouldn't think it was the end of the world and we were getting relegated or all that. I think he's earned his place, and I think in Jackson Smith, I don't know how good he is behind him. I've probably seen him once, twice playing net, but I think he can play back up to kill it till the end of the season. I don't think that's a big issue. What I would say is becoming an issue is the central midfield position. I would say with Craig set to leave, Orahan definitely now not playing in midfield. I think we maybe could do with somebody else there. I don't want to place all my bets on like Yoga Nathan if we get a couple of injuries. I don't want to put all my eggs in his basket. I think he's young and I don't think he needs the pressure. Um, but up front is an absolute certainty. We need an absolute. We need a dog up top, and we ain't got one. What we've got Cosgrove that's impressed in spells. Once every 20 games he plays well, and you think, is this it? Is he going to kick on from now? And he never does. We've got Marshall. We're all like, oh, he's young, he's progressing, and that. But when it gets to a point where it's like, look, until you start putting numbers on the board now, you know, they're what you're going to be judged by ultimately. Like I say, when he does play, he looks young, he looks hungry, he looks fresh. But we need to start seeing end results, and we're not seeing anything yet. And at the minute, we need it now. We don't need it in the future. So for me, send him out on loan, get rid of Cosgrove as soon as possible, get another striker in. That is, but who's going to want a Cosgrove at his age in January? That's something. See, it's not all about getting the players in; it's how do you get players out. We've probably freed up some wages with Craig going back and Slanina going back, but there's bodies there that need to leave. I think Benson needs to leave. He's too injury prone. He either needs to go to a lighter league that's not as intensive physically because his body keeps breaking down. Like I said, Cosgrove, I think he needs to drop down a league. I don't think he might be a relegation League One player, but I don't think he's any better than that on his current form of the past 2 years for us. I think he used to be brilliant, but he just seems to ever since his days at Birmingham, he seems to have got worse and worse and worse. Hopefully I'm wrong and he scores an hat-trick in next game. And I love being proved wrong, especially if it's a prediction like that. But yeah, there's a lot to do in a short time span. So it's on Sormaz whether he can get it done or not.
If Cosgrove does go, I think we'd need maybe another striker if he goes. I think we'd probably do a target man, because although we're not particularly playing to target men, we do sometimes, and we bring Sam on to get his head on things. And if he's not there, we need an alternative, I think.
I would like somebody who's Norwood-esque, somebody that's a real pain in the bum for the opposition, because I don't think we've got enough players that are like that. And I think it's refreshing. Fans love him as well.
There's a little bit of that in Stephen Humphries, I think, of like.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Norwood like player, but knows like Queen. My one question with bringing another forward in Andy is, when we've had the sort of three up top of DKD, Humphries, and Waters. I know when Waters has played, the amount of games we've won, I think it's 9 wins, 1 loss. It's probably changed since now. It's probably actually gone up since I last looked at stats. So it might be 11-1. When he's not played, I think it's 4-7, or maybe 7-4. The way which is. If we do sign this striker that I feel like most fans think we need, fundamentally, Waters seems to be quite important to this system and the way in which we are playing under Darrell Clarke. So who would drop out of it? Because it's clear that Waters, although he might not be the goal scorer, is helping, especially when I look back to that first goal against Crawley. He made the run to front post, brought 2 defenders with him, which left John Russell with 25-yard in box, a room to himself. So whilst he's doing almost like unselfish work to create space for others, it's almost like, what is the necessity of the other strikers, which is clear whilst we're winning. But then if we bring someone in, it's like, oh, you're coming in, but just to be on bench whilst these three are fine.
we're literally halfway through the season, and Max has had a fair bit of that out injured. When he's playing and he's not injured, then he's been looking pretty good this season under Darrell Clarke, as you say. But he's one kick away from being injured, and let's be honest, League One centre backs, and they're not going to get signed by Barcelona, are they? Because they're a bit more industrial than a lot of centre backs in other divisions. So he's one kick away, he's one injury away, one suspension away, and not just him. Stephen Humphries has been out injured, and he's making his way back. He had a number of weeks out, so you need to be able to rotate people. They could also get banned. They could also have a couple of stinkers. It's good wherever they're playing, but we're talking particularly strikers, to be pushed. You know that if you're not on it and on your game, there's somebody there with quality that can come and take your bit, and then he's got the shirt and you're the one that's got to strive to get it back. That level of competition, particularly up front, is really, really helpful. Where I wouldn't want is to go back to playing three strikers and having two wide men, and a central striker that nobody's anywhere near. I don't want to see DKD stuck out on the left wing. He's come good these last number of matches. He's the player that we've seen him, or we thought we were going to get when we signed him from Mansfield. But he's had a few poor games because he's human. He's entitled to have a few poor games. Nobody can have, be in fifth gear every single game and be at the top of it every single game. So there's times when you've got to give people a break and a bit of a rest. It's not dropping them, but getting a rest. Look what happened over four games in just over a week. It's a lot of football. Sometimes they need taking out at firing line. Little niggles, be able to have a break and get back to full fitness. So it's that for me, so that we can pull somebody off if they're struggling a little bit in terms of form, or struggling a bit in terms of energy levels, or carrying a bit of a knock, so they can be replaced, and then we're back up to full strength. So it's that for me, that rotation for me.
What I would like that Kiefer Moore type, aren't we?
Yeah, I'd live with that, Al.
Kiefer Moore type, Trevor Aylock type, and going back to Eddie Lloyden type. I
thought we got that in Koziel, but it's not working out.
No, I don't agree with that at all. I think Cosgrove is anti what everything Darrell Clarke's trying to do with his team. He's not energetic enough. I don't think we're putting enough balls in the box for a big striker. What we need is we need somebody else that's like Waters, but it's just got more end product. We need somebody that can run out wide, can take a man one-on-one, can press effectively. But I think you can say Kiefer Moore because I think he were a unicorn, because I think he were a striker that could do everything, despite being a giraffe. So if you can find another unicorn, fantastic. But the fact
Which is it, a giraffe or a unicorn?
Both.
It can be both. Is that unique?
You've been watching too much Harry Potter with
no,
kids.
The reason why I'm saying that is the reason because, as you were saying, Josh, you can see with the results that having somebody that is more press effective is bringing better results. Every time we play Cosgrove, we don't seem to be as effective in the press. We don't seem to have as much energy. And especially if you're playing the likes of DKD alongside Cosgrove, you need somebody that's going to run in behind. DKD doesn't do that. He drops deep, helps facilitate play. Humphries runs in behind. Waters runs in behind. So I think you need to be able to, like you say, a football team it's a recipe, and it'll either make a gorgeous cake or it'll make something hanging that you never want to touch again. So I think you've got to have the right ingredients to make a good team. And I just don't think having a Cosgrove-esque big man that's slow is going to help us at anything. But Wrexham seem to love them because they've got two big ones, haven't they?
I'll tell you what.
I'm not sure I want to eat any cake that's got minced unicorn and minced giraffe in it, though.
No, I think Craig should be on Bake Off with that kind of description.
Hey, do you know what? Right,
Don't encourage him.
I've just recently got into cooking, so I've been trying it out. I've been watching a bit of Gordon Ramsay.
I can't wait for you to be a judge on Bake Off and say that cake is hanging.
Hanging.
You get
That's it.
a lot of burgers out of a giraffe, I'll tell you that, Craig.
Is it legal?
No,
Definitely not.
simply no.
Get your thoughts down in the comments below on what you think, where we need to strengthen. If there's anywhere else you'd like to see, I know for me personally, I do look at the lack of clean sheets we've had this season, and I think that's a bit of a major issue. But not really too. It's one of those where I think a centre half is more of a light to have rather than a necessity, as opposed to someone up top. So get your thoughts down in the comments below of what you'd like to sign. If there's anyone in particular you'd like us to sign as well, I know Joe Taylor from Luton's been floated around again for a change, potentially making his way to Huddersfield or Us depending, because I think Josh Cronin's
Us.
going his way out as well. Us.
Us. It's got a H in it now. Us.
Have you not heard it before? It's a new.
There's plenty of words
Manchester.
that's got an H in that you don't pronounce, but not us.
Yeah, sometimes I like to add one in for the ones I've left out. I thought you were going to some sort of Manchester joke there, Andy, but I'm going to carry on
I'll
talking.
leave it.
It's not allowing you to do it, which will be fine. Right, looking forward then to the weekend and our trip down to Sixfields for Northampton. So, manager Kevin Nolan took over on Boxing Day with his fifth game in charge of Northampton. Top scorer, a player we'll all recognise actually, Cam McGeehan, 7 goals, a clear top scorer in that team as well by 4 already. So 18th in the league, 6 points above the drop. Form won 2 of the last 14 going back to the 9th of November. Unbeaten in their last 3, though, 2 draws and a win against Burton. Key player Mitchell Pinnock, 4 assists and 2 goals from left wing back. Registered assist on Saturday where their win over Burton. Formation 3-5-2. But obviously it can switch to a 5-3-2. So maybe potentially they might flick to that at the weekend. And interesting stat, Walter Tull, who played 111 games for Northampton in 1911 and 1914, was only the second black player to ever play in the top division of the Football League. Which is a very interesting stat right there. I'd like to account of all that myself, but no, Harry did that. Silent Harry, who's taking it from Silent Tom in the background with all the research and things. So, Al, you're making the trip down to Northampton, fingers crossed, weather dependent, very, very weather dependent. How do you feel about this one? Because obviously, you look at it on paper, it's one of those Northampton struggling a bit this season, which I think is a little bit to be expected to a degree. But since Kevin Earl's come in, it seems like been a little bit of a turn with a little bit of an upturn in form since then. Obviously, 2 losses and 2 draws and a win. So how do you feel about this one? Because it's one of those tricky sides, and I can just guarantee now that Cam McGeehan will score as well.
It is. It's been down Sixfields a few times. The one on Saturday, didn't they? They beat Burton with a late goal by, I think it was Sam Hoskins on 86 minutes. So another side what placed at death. Nolan's got him looking at him playing until final whistle. We've got to be on his metal, haven't we? And keep this run going and make it 5 from 5. Gaffer's got a dilemma in defence. Now we've got all those defenders fit. Per many 1 from 5, isn't it? So good luck to him. And does Captain Connell come back? For me, that's going to be interesting. Because Kelechi, I'll just say Kelechi, is on Saturday, he's made a place to start. Because that ball, crossfield ball for our first goal to O'Keefe and then put it in for Russell, which tremendous, were outstanding, and I think his passing rate were 86%. So at the end of the day, you need that type of player in your team. So I won't like to be Darryl Clark and having his team selection, but it's great that we've got this now, that we've got headaches on team selection. And they've got, I think, in midfield for them ex-Red, Will Undermarsh.
They do. Craig, it is a nice position to be in. Sort of, as Al's mentioned there, there's a bit of a defensive conundrum now. Players are coming back to fitness in Josh All-Start. We've got Robbo come on against Crawley in second half as well. Conor McCarthy's put a decent stake as to why he should be in contention over the games in which he's filled in. And then obviously in midfield as well, a big call to sort of drop Luca in that Crawley game. It kind of made sense when you look at the volume of minutes he got through during that festive period to sort of rotate through it. But still a big call to not start your captain who plays in central midfield and is somewhat the heartbeat of the team when he's playing.
Yeah, but last game I think he had a little bit of an experiment. He put Ewan Carley and Luke Connell together as a double pivot in midfield, and played Phillips just in front. Because they're both playmakers who like to sit deep, they could together provide decent cover for the defenders and let the wing backs push on. So that might be something he's looking at. It might not be a case of one or the other. It might be a case of both. I think I've not seen much of Edward Carley in the defensive aspect, but we know Connell is very good and going in for a tackle. So look, people will say either or. I would say I'm just happy to have both. You know, both can spray passes about, and Wakali seems to have a little bit more an accurate long ball. Connell seems to have a bit more energy and a bit more bite in the tackle. So I think they've both got pluses, both got minuses. I think it's more who takes over from Russell if Russell can't play. That's where I'm looking at the transfer window for. Who can take over Phillips if he's out? I don't think Connell's as good when he's going forward. Obviously, I think he can do a job up there, but I much prefer him sitting back. So yeah, it's midfield's not really an issue for me. Defense, I'd keep Pines out just because I think he's older. He's younger, I mean, than Roberts, and I think there's a lot more to come from him. Obviously, I think he needs a run of games as well after his injury. McCarthy, I think Josh Earl's that next level above McCarthy. I think McCarthy's played well. I think he's not done his any issues in the games he's played, but I think Josh Earl is a standout performer in this team at the minute. I think he's robust. He reads the game well. He's got a bit of pace at the back as well, which next to Pines you're gonna need. Desjuvigny is the first name on the team sheet. I think he's an absolute fantastic purchase, and from what people were saying after his first game in to now, I think he's been an absolute revelation. I think he's fantastic. I think he's possibly could be championship quality or lower championship quality. And up front, I think it speaks for itself. You start on Frizz and DKD every day of the week. Obviously, Killip in that. Farrugia, will he get a look in? I think he'll probably come out off at bench at some point. If his fitness is at the right levels, obviously he wants in the squad after he signed. But look, it'll have been nearly 2 weeks since he signed. We'll have had time to assess his energy levels by now, and he might get a running off bench. I wouldn't expect to see him start. But yeah, it's nice to have an array to choose from because the past few weeks we've had, especially in defence, we've been plucking plucking the little bits from everywhere, just trying to make a full squad. So yeah, it's nice to see, but yeah, I wouldn't think that Mwakali Connell is something that we need to focus on. I think I'm just glad to have both.
It is a nice problem to have, isn't it, Andy? I suppose of almost like which one of our inform and good players do get to play it. It does allow, as Craig mentioned, that it allows Clark to be a bit selective per team, and also when you've got players like Pines and Roberts that potentially might break down during sort of intense periods of back-to-back games coming up, it allows us to have that flexibility of like, right, you play this game, but you're going to get rested on Tuesday. You might come off bench if needed, and it just allows us to keep everyone fit and have that sort of like strong 18, 20 man squad moving and switching throughout the weeks.
It's always good, as I said earlier, to have competition because it pushes the person with the shirt. And whilst you can, I won't have a problem with either Kelechi or Luca Connell playing in the defensive role. But at the minute, Kelechi's got the shirt from the last match and played an absolute blinder as he has done a few matches. So I think to be really harsh, irrespective of anybody else, to drop him. You know, if somebody's playing as well as he's doing, like Alan said, that's that defence splitting pass. But not just that, he's so comfortable on the ball. He doesn't give it away. He rarely gives the ball away. And, you know, through tiredness, I'm going to assume Luca has done a few times, which is probably why it was good for him to have a bit of a break. For me, though, in defence, I'd have kept Big Donny. I'd keep Big Donny playing, because I don't know how fit, you know, or free from injury. The other two are, you know, Mark Roberts come back, and it was really good to see him back. They were expecting about 6 weeks for both him and Earl, and I wouldn't want them both to break down again by being playing. So for me, it could be the same again. You know, play them and bring Mark Roberts on, and you know, see how it just give him a few extra minutes and what have you. I agree with Craig about a left wing back. Georgie Gent played pretty well, and I don't expect to see Farrugia to start. I don't see that. But yeah, he might well come on. Elsewhere, it's at this minute it's picking itself, you know, up front. Those two should start, which is harsh on Stephen Humphries, because when he comes on, he looks the business. But them two are gelling well together and pressing well together. And you said it earlier, I think Craig said it earlier about Sam Cosgrove. We're best when we press high. That's when we're best. And those two really, really do press. So that's all for our benefit. So for me, there won't be any changes to the starting lineup, because we've got 3-0 up, and it started to a bit when the energy levels dropped and we started making changes. It didn't stop them coming on at us. So I'd have just keep it the same, and let's see how it goes. But certainly Kelechi should be on the pitch. Although I won't cry my eyes out if he wasn't, but I think he should be. I don't know what McGeehan's doing. He's not played the last couple of matches. I know he's their top scorer. He's not played since 29th. So I don't know if they, like we've done with players, if he's been given a rest, which would be a bit strange, I think, or whether with the new manager coming in, with Kevin Nolan coming in, it's changed round. As Will Undermount started the last game, they've got. I have mixed feelings, a bit with Cosgrove. They've got Tom Eaves up front, who's a big, strong unit. And there were times in the past when I wish we'd signed him. But he's not really kicked on. But for me, Big Donny or Mark Roberts would be good to sort him out, because he's not super mobile, but big and strong. And I love the way both of them, but Donny in particular, gets a foot in. Don't let somebody dance in front of him and try to shimmy behind him. He sticks a toe in, sticks a boot in, and lets them know he's there, and gets the ball away. So that I'm glad about. The thing that's going to be interesting for me is that with a change of manager, it's all about stats, isn't it? And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's just makes itself look ridiculous. They've not lost in the last 3 matches, 2 draws, and like you say, against Burton, a win. So 3, but in the last 7 matches, they scored 3 goals and conceded 16. Up to probably why they were a change of manager. Up to Nolan coming, they lost 3-0 at Rotherham. They lost 3-0 at Peterborough. They'd lost 5-0 at home to Charlton. And they'd lost whatever it was, 4-1 away to Reading. So they conceded a lot of goals. So one thing I've got to say about Kevin Nolan is he seems to have shored up their defence a little bit, but they're at home. So if you're at home, you can't just defend, or you can do if you want, defend and try and hit somebody on the break, but your fans won't like that. They expect your team at home to go out and try and win it, not try and react to the other team. But for me, hopefully they'll hang back. I don't know if you saw. I saw the extended highlights against Burton, and the goalkeeper Nicola. I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong. Savinev, wherever it's pronounced, Zanev, I think Zanev. He was man at match. He made some incredible saves, absolutely incredible saves to keep a clean sheet. So that's going to be interesting, because hopefully he's got it out of his system, because we often seem to have goalkeepers play their game of the season against us. Hopefully he's got it out of his system and has a stinker against us, presuming it's on with the weather conditions.
Yes, it certainly is. Hopefully you didn't get all the way there, Al, and it's called off, because that's never happened to you before, has it?
It certainly has. Yes, yes,
He'll,
yes.
he'll still have a breakfast. He'll still have a pint of beer and then some lunch. Don't worry about him.
Where did he get to again? Itching, Warwick?
I can't.
Itching in itching.
I can't disclose that.
You went to another match, I think, didn't you?
I think that one we played Stevenage away,
I think it were all.
and they had a pitch inspection, and then they said they were going to have a later one. I think they had a late one at 1 o'clock, so we spent about 4 or 5 hours.
Who's switching for you what day?
There you go.
They should know if there's a decent chance of it not being on the Friday night, Al. If it's absolutely frozen.
Well, I don't know. Weather
Friday
forecast for here is going to be minus 10, 11, isn't it, on Thursday?
night. We're in Northampton, though.
Put a jumper on, it'll be all right. Right, predictions. Al, what are you going for? I'll come to you first, and as you're making the trip to Sixfields.
Oh, go first again. 3-1 to Reds.
3-1.
And another Keeler done goal.
Ooh, I feel like 3-1's going the new 2-1. Craig?
I'm going to put my faith in Killip. I'm going to go 3-0. And I think we'll probably see a goal from Pines from a corner.
I love these really specific predictions going in as well.
I'm going real in depth, aren't we, me and Al? You know, you don't get that with Andy. You know, you just get 2-1, mate. 2-1, 2-1, 2-1.
If it up to me managing this, if Pines did score, I'd give you an extra point, Craig. Andy?
I hope he gets pulled off then before he scores it. Right, let me tell you about some past predictions. I haven't done the league table yet because there's a lot to do and it's been Christmas and New Year. I will get round to do it and do the league tables. Against Wrexham, bear in mind Wrexham are second, and bear in our home record, up to the Wrexham game was shocking. We had 54 predictions, but 35 of them said that we would win. That we would 16 a draw, only 3 said Wrexham had beat us. So that's somewhat. Out of the 35, now this is what you lot need to understand. Out of the 35 that said Barnsley had beat Wrexham, 18 people, including me obviously, 18 people got it exactly right. 2-1. You heard it here. 2-1. Yeah. Right. So Crawley. God, dear God. 52 predictions. And this is why it's going to take a lot of inputting. 52 predictions. For us to lose, Crawley to win, nobody. Nobody. For a draw, 1.
Ooh.
51 people said that we would win, but only 11 got the right result. The right score, sorry, the right score. So, you know, it's up in the air, isn't it? Which do you go with? Do you go with the 18 that were 2-1ers, or do you go for the 11 that like 3-0ers? Who knows?
You'll only know after, Al.
Which is best? Well, I'll tell you which is best. I'll tell you what's going to happen. And you heard it here first, because Alan Ant interrupted me. 2-1 to Barnsley. Nailed on.
Who's going to score?
I don't care. It'll be 2 own goals for me. Who cares?
Just because Craig and Alan have given their opinions who they think going to score, so I just thought, change it up. Right. New year.
Adam Phillips will score 1. And the other one will be Max Waters after 4 previous attempts that he's missed.
From 2 yards.
Only kidding, Max. Don't do it, Max.
No. Can he celebrate on Saturday? Because he didn't celebrate this Saturday because we were against his old club, wasn't it?
Did he?
None of that. We should have ran to the other side and knee side in front of him like Adebayor did. None of that. None of that. Getting at this. Same way Keeler done against Wrexham. None of that.
Well, that's the difference, though, Josh. He's got class. He's got class and integrity, Josh.
And where's that going to get him? In addition,
he also scored a banger at Oakwell.
Scoring.
I'm not. If I scored for
you ain't, Joe. Yeah, Josh, you ain't.
No, but that is a previous team that I played for. I'm knee sliding all the way down that pitch, every corner. In fact, I'm going to go for.
But when he scored in Ponty End on Saturday, I'm looking at him, and I know he just hit keeper and went in. I thought you were embarrassed that he scored, but then I realised it were against his old club, Crawley. He did look embarrassed that he scored.
I'll be honest. Once that goal bonus hit his account, I think he'd have been less embarrassed then. and a little support came in just after Christmas and all. Perfect timing.
Didn't stop it putting it in net though, Al.
Exactly.
You weren't that embarrassed.
Too much on it. What should I go for? Northampton, a little bit better with Kevin Nolan. I wish this didn't have Kevin Nolan because I'd have gone somewhere daft like 6-0. But I'll go 2-0. I'll go 2-0. I'm going to put my faith in Killip and that defence as well. So it seems like they're still a bit shy up top. So I'll go 2-0. Right, just
in case anybody thinks by saying game postponed, you don't get any points for a game being postponed. Because I heard some say, well, I said 0-0 and it was postponed, so it was 0-0. No, don't work like that.
Nice try.
Just can't predict on next game when it gets replayed. I think that should be ruled.
And can I also say, I don't want to see some predictions of 3-0 like we had against Crawley if final whistle's gone. I don't want to see that either.
Oh, well, anyway,
have some integrity.
I can get.
I just want to know which Barnsley player's going to let me down this week. Because last few weeks I've been 1 goal away from winning.
I'll gutted when Killip pulled off that double save.
I know. I said 3-1 last game.
Can I just say this? Because this will be.
You've just said 3 things.
I know, but I'm going to say another one. So one last thing, 'cause it'll be important to 2 people. One, for me, it's important. One, it's not at all important. The last 2 matches, Michael Hodgson has predicted both scores exactly right. So just like that, he's got 6 points. And sadly, and I mean sadly, unfortunately, whatever words you want to use, so has Joe Luke Beardsall. 6 points in the last 6 out of 6 for Joe Luke Beardsall. So all I would say to other predictors is Joe always predicts late because he's idle.
He likes to see it line up and he studies it and everything.
And he does all that.
He's not doing it on a Tuesday like us for a Saturday game.
Michael Hodgson always predicts in good time. So anybody that's got any sense, see what Michael's put.
According to form, Joe's mates with Killip, so Killip tells him what scores are going to be. He's got inside information.
But that's why. Just at St. Barbara's.
Oh, you can't say things like that because it sounds like he's fixing game. If Joe says 3-2, does that mean he's going to let 2 goals in it last 5 minutes? Can't go there, Al.
None of that. Bonuses up 9. Right.
We're not in Far East, Al.
Just before we finish off, I would like to say a huge thank you to everyone who supported us last year. Huge thank you to all the sponsors, Tune Business, Beckett Rentals, Oaksway Community Club and Sunshine Day Spa. And as well, a huge thank you to everyone who donates monthly to the channel. And then also everyone, even if you just like, comment, share as content on social media as well. It is massively appreciated and we don't say thank you enough. So starting this year with a massive thank you to you all. I hope you had a great Christmas and a great New Year, and hopefully 3 points for the Reds on Saturday to kick on this year. You Reds.